Hello and welcome. You're watching FYI. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Now, jobs. We did an earlier episode where we talked about what are going to be the sectors in demand, jobs in demand in this post-pandemic world as well. But a lot of you wrote back to us and said, well, jobs are there. We are applying as well. Economy is opening up. Lockdown is, people are getting back to offices as well. But how to crack your first interview? How to ensure that you have a very attractive resume as well. Well, that's the focus on today's FYI. How to get your CV right. Now, resume is what an employer will look at much before he meets you. It is the first interface you have with your employer as well. You have to make the most out of this opportunity. And in a market like India, where there are so many talented people all fighting in for that one position, you got to ensure how your resume is really going to be standing out. The employment market as well is changing all the while, and so have resumes as well, evolving from one size fits all to standardized, customized resumes that really go and are made to suit a particular company, a particular employer as well. So we thought, let's give you some quick tips on how to make your resume and CV attractive. And then, of course, we'll talk to industry experts who will take you through what really are the big yeas and nays in that. All right, first up, let's just do some basics over here, something that you must keep in mind while you get down to typing out your resume. Adopt a simple format that really, is the way to go, ideally under 2 pages. Now, a lot of people say, well, my fantastic personality, how can that be cut down into 2 pages? Well, cut it down, make it simple. That's the only way people will even be interested in reading out your resume. Now, highlight achievement and results, because remember, 75% of job seekers get rejected at the CV stage itself. So you've got to write all that down in as short as possible, but as powerfully as it can be represented as well. Next one is actually always include relevant keywords. Why is this important? Because now there is a lot of tech that has come into the companies, and that tech actually looks out for those keywords, and if those do not feature in your resume, you might be missing out altogether. Also, the next one is personalize your CV. Can't really emphasize enough on this. One size does not fit all over here. The days when you could just get one CV done and float it to as many companies as possible, that era is dead. If you want a job today and a good one, you'll have to customize your CV to the requirement of that a particular opportunity. And also, a good thing to do is follow up after mailing your CV as well. So also some basic do's when you're actually writing your CV. Let's check that out. Well, choose the right CV type. For example, there are 3 basic types of CVs. One which arrange everything in a chronological manner, one which is functional, the other that is combination. So you should know which way to go, and that clarity should be in your head. You can't be mixing things up. So good thing to do is to find out the different structures and then understand which structure fits the best for the job that you're going for, and then write it accordingly. Also, the correct CV format, well, it has to start with personal details, has to go with a personal statement, then comes your educational background, work history, if any, achievements and skills. That's typically the format that one must follow, and choose the right font. It will take you a couple of years to understand how important this is, but take it when we tell you choose the right font, and also keep it neat. Leave out as much of white space as possible, as they say. Do not try to fill in every little corner of your CV if you think that you have this space after all. And also support claims with the specifics that you are writing in for. The don'ts then, let's come to that. Telling a lie, absolute no-no. Including irrelevant personal information. Some people still continue to write their gender, etc. Just skip that. It is not relevant. What is relevant is what you're doing, why you're doing, and that is perhaps what the employer really is looking for at this point. Include, and if you forget to include a cover letter, well, that is actually crucial. Do not do that. Include unnecessary references as well. Do not. Also explaining and the gaps in your work history. adding any negative information as well. That's something that you can put in and have a chat with if it comes up in your interview, not at the CV level. There is no need to have that level of transparency straight up, and also including jargon unnecessarily, and also mentioning money, asking for it straight away, or saying the expectation level in your CV. So now these, what I've just told you, some do's and don'ts, are very basic stuff, something that you will easily be knowing at this point as well. But when it comes to industry, what are the big ahas when somebody is looking at a CV? That's something that we'll try and break down with our panel today. Joining us is Joshua Madan. He's a CEO of and Consultants. We have Deval Singh joining us, Vice President, Business Head of Team Lead Services. We have Ankit joining us from LinkedIn. And Ankit, of course, is going to be the one who will say, who needs a CV now? Just float your basics on LinkedIn and you see the magic over there. But we'll try and understand from him on what exactly is the way to go on that front as well. And of course, back with us on FYI is Chokowil Lappa. He's got great insights into how exactly things are working in that direction. So we'll get to understand from him as well on how things are moving in this direction. So let me start with Ankit, you first. From QR codes to visual representations of their CV. While researching for this program, we really saw a lot of stuff out there, and I didn't really know how to bring it all together. And also, as a media organization, you get very interesting CVs these days. Some might be very unique in a good way and some in a very bad way as well. Could you start by telling us what really are the big aha moments for you when you see a CV?
Well, thanks so much for having us, Sonal. And you're absolutely right. There's so much innovation that's happening in CVs. But a lot of times, a lot of folks also end up missing or skipping even basics, right? Like you said in my introduction, your LinkedIn profile today literally is your CV. It's your digital footprint. It's your digital real estate. So it literally starts with making an all-star profile on LinkedIn. If you're seeking a job, there's this cool new feature called Open to Work. In fact, almost 8 million people have added that Open to Work photo frame on their profile picture to let your community or your network and recruiters know. But I think the best thing is to be absolutely open and upfront about your achievements. And instead of being staccato or rigid about a particular format, use your LinkedIn profile for storytelling. And in fact, there's this really cool example, this London-based social media executive whose name is Jay Beach. You can check him out on LinkedIn as well. He made this fantastic sing-song video CV that pretty much went viral, almost 1 million views on LinkedIn. And he got thousands of people ringing him up, sending him emails on LinkedIn saying, hey, we'd love to work with you. Now, of course, he could do that because he's a social media video star executive. But depending on the sector that you work in, understand the sector and align your LinkedIn profile to that. Talk about your skills, talk about your certifications, showcase that learning attitude that you're not just waiting for an opportunity for the company, but you're taking charge of your learning, of your skill development. These are the things that can really stand out on your LinkedIn profile, I feel.
Right. And I'm very glad Ankit mentioned that. Do that. Sing your CV if you think you're entering that domain. Imagine an IT professional singing a CV and sending that profile. I can't wait to imagine what is going to happen to the big HR team sitting there and what will be the lunchtime conversation on that day. But on that note, let me bring in Deval at this point. Deval, at Team Leads, I'm sure you are also, while you're putting the two together, also trying to understand what is it, how are the companies thinking? Could you give us an insight on that, on what is it that they are looking for now?
I think, Sonal, the companies are thinking very traditionally. They want the right people, they should fit the job profile, and they want the right talent. So very natural for them to want to have everything that is critical for that job position. But where I think, the caveat comes into play is, you have to keep in mind that companies generally prioritize resumes that come through references. So as a company or as a candidate, you want to ensure that you get into the pipeline as a reference from the company employee. I think Aniket very rightly said that we are living in a digital era, in a digital world. So one critical factor that you want to do is you want to network. Even while you're building your resume, even while you're writing your resume, that link to the company for a candidate would be to ensure that you know people from that company who would kind of give you all the information that you need to get that job. It is a lot of legwork. Let's keep that in mind. Getting a resume on an online system is not going to get you on the table. What is really going to get you on the table is you knock your second level connections, third degree connections, talk to them, ask them what is that the company is thinking, get to the granular details, do your due diligence, and then insert the candidature online or offline. But for me, the perfect solution, and what I tell my candidates, is get referred, because that's going to get you, in the priority queue. And that will also give you the intel of what is the company thinking. I think the company is thinking out of the box so long. The companies all are thinking that this is my job profile. It's very technical in nature. Are the skills matching? Is the story matching? And again, yes, resume is about storytelling. Have your story right. You have to have some kind of a structure, some kind of framework that you follow. For me, the brilliant one is situation, task, action, and results. What is the situation you are in? What are the tasks you have followed? What were the actions you took to get those tasks? And what were the results? And even better, put the results at the top. For example, I made 50 crores in revenue when I was in this project. There, you've got the attention of whoever is reading that resume. So get the link into the company through LinkedIn, through other social media channels, through friends, family, whichever way possible. Get yourself noticed and get yourself in the priority list, is what I would say.
Oh, lots of points at what Deval has actually said. And while networking, I think, is a separate episode altogether that we must do, and just how to crack that, if there is a formula really up there. But we should definitely look into that perhaps in a separate episode. Let me go to Joshua next on that note. So headlining your achievements and the tasks that you have achieved, that's an interesting aspect that Deval brought out. What is your thought?
Yeah, absolutely, Sonal. But before that, Ankit and Deval mentioned about telling the right story. And I just would like to say that you need to tell the true story. Because at the end of the day, today the candidates are telling all kinds of stories, and you are going to get exposed during the interview. So I just want to just leave a note there with saying that, even though you might get even the best guys to write the resumes for you, during the interview you will get exposed, and that's a big no-no during the interview, and the high chances that you will get rejected if you're not writing the truth.
Joshua seems to be coming from personal experience over here. We can chat offline about what that was, but clearly no fiction over here is what you're saying.
Absolutely. No fiction, and it has to be a true story. But then coming to your question, Sonal, yes, it's very important that you highlight not your duties, but, your achievements. Because many a times, the candidate just writes saying, I was a manager and I was just heading a team. You need to, go and probably do a deep dive and mention what was the difference that you made in the organization. What kind of sales numbers? For example, Deval was talking about doing a 50 crore number. How did you do that? And, and what was the team that backed you for that? Or what kind of quality parameters that you had introduced in the system? And, so it's very important that you kind of tell them the importance of, your role and how you achieve that. That really is a big, high note on your resume.
Right. So let me go to Mr. Villappa next on this one. So there is a difference in how first-timers craft their CVs to mid-management to how it happens higher up. So networking plays a role more and more as you keep going up the ladder, clearly. But do you have some tips for first-timers, young people who are just getting out of college?
Yeah, absolutely. Today it's all about speed and how can I execute faster for companies. So they're very worried that, coming out of schools or colleges, they wouldn't be ready for the job and they have to invest in training. So how you can highlight your relevant experience, in some skills that for example, if you're taking artificial intelligence and AI program in Coursera or edX or NPTEL, then you should highlight that and say that you are a certified programmer or you know Python programming. And before that, if I can go first from a fundamental CV type, I think CVs are kind of redundant in a way right now because most of the CVs are being read by machines, right? Especially if you're a first-time joinee, like you said, being read by machines. And so what are the key words, the hashtag, like almost hashtag-wise, what are the key focus areas that you're doing? That's why what we have done is at Hire Me, we have a 20-second video clip, 3 20-second video clips. And one is about me, one is about my skills, and one is about who I am. And we've taken 20 seconds because that's when you decide, like it's the speed dating techniques that we've used to see whether you like a person or not. And if you don't like the person, you don't need to invest more. And another basic thing, especially for first-time joinees, is that now the crawlers are also going and seeing who are you from a social media perspective. So they're crawling Twitter accounts or LinkedIn accounts, like it was talking, and seeing what is your CV talking, and is it collaborating with your social media presence? And because a lot of who you are comes out of that.
Right.
So that's the key thing. And how do you shout out about your achievements and about your character more so, right? I mean, because you have 15,000 people applying for a job potentially. So who stands out? It's like you applying to
video concept, you know, this is something which only media channels used to do if you were applying for a job here, because that was an essential then, not anymore. Even inside a boardroom now you need a personality, and that's really is going to shout out. That's something we're gonna dive into, but on the other side of this very quick break. Stay tuned, you're watching FYI. So we're talking about how to make your CV stand out and what makes your CV really stand out. And we talked about how some keywords are important, a format is important, and unconventional ways are cool only if there is an unconventional field that you're really looking at. Let me go back to Ankit on this entire concept that I'm hearing more and more of companies wanting you to upload these, 1 minute or 3 minute clips. If you were to give that today, what is it that you would put in those 1 minute or 3 minute videos?
Absolutely, Sonal. So let's understand that a lot of people are applying for jobs, right? So your profile, your personality, your achievements, and your skills really have to stand out. In fact, on LinkedIn alone, every month, more than 210 job applications are made, 81 jobs per second are applied to. So the number is huge. Now, there's a feature called cover story. So, of course, you can upload, and you should upload, a good profile picture. But along with that, you can now also upload a 20-second video. So what should you use these 20 seconds for? Don't just talk about your work experience, but what problem can you solve? What value can you add to the particular company? And that is really what draws home the point that, I'm a creative thinker. I think out of the box and speak about 1 or 2 achievements. Remember, you just have 20 seconds, so not too much of megalomania, but really what you're bringing to the table here. And the storytelling aspect cannot be emphasized enough, Sonal. Right. In a world of so many applicants, you really want your story to stand out. So use cover story video and hashtags in your bio to really tell your story.
Yeah, but Doctor, I think out of the box, and I'm a hard worker, I'm a creative thinker, all these things, I mean, they don't really work. So what should one really be saying? Give me an example, for instance, of people watching out.
So specifics, right?
Talk about please, Mr. Villappa. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, sure.
Yes, Sonal. So, in fact, once I'll give you a live example of one of the kids was interviewing with Accenture, and they asked her, "What have you done?" And she said, "I went to a school. I saw a blind kid. And I asked them, what's the surgery cost? And they said a surgery can set it up. And she said, it's 40,000. And she came to our institution. We said that if you collect 50%, we'll match it. And she got the kid eyes. And she said, I got the kid eyes. Yeah, they said, here's the offer letter. That was it. They never asked for anything else.
That's what you mean when you say tell them a story.
Yeah.
That's a great example. That's a great example. Deval, you want to add something to that?
I think you've already covered it up, Sonal. I do believe from the get-go I said that a lot of people think that resume is all about technicalities, but gone are those days. Resume now is about telling stories, and the right stories. I will be emphatic about it. You cannot lie on it. But then if you want to stand out, if you want to really make a difference, then talk about the purpose, talk about position yourself. You have to consider, I know it sounds a little weird, but you have to consider right now that you're a product, and you have to position yourself. What's your value proposition? What is that you're going to add to the firm, and what is that is going to make you unique? And that story has to be loud.
And don't tell that in adjectives. Tell that in a story format. I think that's what you're saying. Joshua, do you want to take me through the last really surprisingly good CV that you saw and you wow, like this is the guy? Like, throw us an example.
Yeah, I mean, see, whenever a candidate comes with a purpose or what we call as a calling, his personal calling, and if that kind of matches to that particular role, I guess that's what, is an ideal CV. For an example, if, we are hiring, I mean, today the industry is like, especially the tech IT industry is hiring like crazy. So that's probably another topic for you, Sonal, probably for the next week, about how the job offers are just going up the roof, and, you can probably take that up as a topic. But then, very specific question, somebody is, coming and saying, my purpose is to make a difference in this particular industry, and I've got the requisite skills to back that. I guess that's what any interviewer is looking at, because today it's, if you ask a candidate why you're looking for a change, and if the candidate says, I want a higher compensation, and that's the reason I'm looking for a change, I think that's a no-no. Even though ultimately compensation is going to play a big role, I'm not denying that fact. But we need to go into the why. So the moment you find the why, the purpose, that makes the big difference.
Right. And since Mr. Villappa has the best examples that we've come up with, your favorite CV, the last one that you saw, what did it say?
I think the person actually researched on the projects that we are working right now and went into the details and said that these are the projects that you're working on. This is my background. And though the person was a fresher, he showed he said that academically I'm not good enough, perhaps, but this is why I'd be a good employee and I'll be a good fitment to that particular requirement. So
when talent meets purpose, and how there has to be a match between the two, and if you're able to say that in your CV, well, I'm just happy I'm not looking for one just yet. Otherwise, there is a lot of competition out there. But yeah, taking all your notes over there, and I hope this was helpful for everybody who's been trying it out. Thank you all for joining us on this very exciting FYI. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.